Happy Lunar Festival, everyone. Grukk Ragefury here, ready to dive into all the latest happenings across Azeroth.
And Elowin Starsong with you as always. Though happy might not be the word every adventurer is using right now. Grukk.
Bah. You night elves, you're always moping about something. Fireworks are exploding, elders are ready for some respect bashing, and there's enough food to feed a whole raiding party. What's not to be happy about?
For many, the Lunar Festival is, well, it's bittersweet. It marks the anniversary of the burning of Teldrassil for my people. It's hard to celebrate fully with that shadow hanging over us.
All right, point taken. But even in the face of tragedy, traditions endure. That's what makes this festival so powerful. Even in a new place like Algar, you see folks honoring the ancients.
That resilience is something to admire, Grukk. Think about it, listener. Have you ever had a tradition change meaning for you over time, become more poignant, maybe, or connected to a new memory? This is that on a grand scale.
Speaking of grand, did you see that new lunar launcher they're selling? Imagine soaring over Moonglade on that thing, fireworks trailing behind you.
I admit, it does look impressive. But personally, I'm drawn to the more subtle beauty of the floral crowns and transmog options they're offering this year. Did you know? There's even a quest to earn them year-round. Fashion never sleeps, even in times of turmoil.
Huh. Who would thought Elowin Starsong would be the fashion-forward one? But me? I'm going for that dragon costume, no question. Imagine me strutting through Orgrimmar like a fearsome red dragon. My dire wolf pup would be nipping at my heels all day.
While you're daydreaming about costumes, Grukk, let's not forget about Omen. The seasonal boss is back, and he's as fearsome as ever.
Omen? Huh. More like open season on furry things. But you're right, there's a sad story behind that big bad wolf. Corrupted by the Legion, driven mad. Not entirely his fault.
Exactly. Defeating him grants Eileen's blessing. But is it a true victory? If it comes at the cost of another being's suffering? Something to ponder as you're pummeling him, listener?
Deep stuff, Elowin. But hey, while we're busy pondering life and death, the Scourge decided to crash the party. Looks like we've got a never-ending invasion on our hands this year.
Never-ending might be an understatement, even with the Argent Dawn fighting tirelessly. The plague is a constant threat. Worries me, even with all the Lunar Festival cheer going on.
Time to crump some undead. And hey, at least they come bearing gifts. New armor sets, dungeon bosses to bash, and necrotic runes galore. Sounds like Azeroth is the place to be this month, even if it's a bit crowded.
Crowded indeed. And for those seeking a more focused challenge, Naxxramas awaits. That floating necropolis is back, packed with even more dangers than before.
Huh. You call it danger, I call it a loot pinata. My guild's prepped and ready to tear through those undead. Just imagine me, decked out in that shiny sanctified gear, leading the charge.
Hold your warg, Grukk. There are new difficulty options this time around, with empowered quarters adding an extra layer of challenge. And don't forget about the Seal of the Dawn. That little trinket grants a power boost based on your sanctified gear, and it upgrades every week.
Sounds like a challenge worthy of a true warrior. But even warriors need a break from the grind sometimes, right? What about those folks looking for something a bit less life-threatening?
Well, there's always Undermine. The new Goblin city that's all the rage these days. Even I have to admit, their knack for technology is impressive, if a bit chaotic.
Undermine, now you're talking. Explosions, crazy contraptions, and best of all, customizable vehicles. You've seen the specs on that G99 breakneck? Pure Goblin genius.
While I'm less enthusiastic about the prospect of Goblin-engineered chaos, I have to admit, the search pricing for jobs they've got going on sounds intriguing. Maybe there's a way to turn a profit amidst all the mayhem.
Always looking for the silver lining, Elowin? But that's what I love about you, always thinking a step ahead. So tell me, what exactly can adventurers expect in this Undermine? Aside from the explosions, of course.
Well, it's a melting pot of goblin ingenuity, that's for sure. 4 major cartels are vying for control. Bilgewater, Blackwater, Steamweedle, and Venture Co. A bit of friendly competition, if you can call it that. And for those who like their adventures a bit more, shadowy. There are whispers of Xal'atath lurking in the city's depths.
Xal'atath. Now that's a name I haven't heard in a while.
We'll have to delve deeper into those whispers later. But for now, let's just say a trip to Undermine is not for the faint of heart.
Sounds like my kind of place. A little danger, a little excitement. What more could you ask for?
Perhaps a bit of sanity.
Bah, sanity's overrated, especially when there's a whole new Mythic Plus dungeon to explore. Have you heard about Operation Floodgate? They say it's a real test of skill and teamwork.
We'll get to that in due time, Grukk. For now, I think we've given our listeners plenty to chew on. What stands out to you so far, listener? What are you most excited or maybe apprehensive about?
Yeah, what she said. And while you're pondering all that, I'm going to grab another plate of those mooncakes. They're almost as explosive as my fireworks.
Only you, Grukk. Only you. Welcome back to our deep dive into the latest Azeroth happenings. We left off with quite a cliffhanger, didn't we? I'm sure some of you are. On the edge of your seats wondering what's changing in the Mythic Plus scene.
All right. No more teasing. Lay it on us, Elowin. What's got everyone buzzing about Season 2?
Well, Grukk, it seems Blizzard has heard the cries of those struggling with the Mythic Plus system. They're rebalancing the difficulty, making it a smoother experience for everyone.
Smoother, you mean easier. Don't get me wrong, I'm all for a good challenge. But some of those dungeons, they felt like bashing your head against a wall, especially at higher mythic levels.
It's not about making things easier, Grukk. It's about creating a more gradual progression. Season 2 will see rewards starting at Mythic 0, encouraging more players to dip their toes into the challenging waters.
Mythic 0 rewards. Sounds almost too good to be true. What's the catch? Gotta be a catch, right? Goblins are probably hiding in the shadows somewhere, ready to snatch our hard-earned loot.
No catch, Grukk. This is simply a recognition that the previous system created a barrier for many players. This change aims to make Mythic Plus more accessible and enjoyable for everyone, regardless of their skill level.
I suppose accessibility isn't a bad thing. But what about those of us who thrive on the challenge? Will these changes make Mythic Plus feel less rewarding?
Not at all. Challenge is an integral part of any fulfilling experience. The new system simply redistributes that challenge, creating a more gradual curve as you progress through the mythic levels. Think of it as a climb that's more steady and less like leaping over cliffs.
No more sudden difficulty spikes at Mythic 7. No more Challenger's Peril wiping your whole group because someone sneezed at the wrong moment.
Exactly. The removal of Challenger's Peril and the adjustments to a fixed placement will make for a more consistent and predictable experience. You'll face tougher enemies and trickier affixes as you climb higher, but it'll feel more like a natural progression rather than a sudden punch to the gut.
All right. I'm starting to see the appeal. A smoother progression, less frustration. Maybe I'll actually finish a Mythic Plus dungeon this season.
I have no doubt you will, Grukk. Just remember, teamwork and communication are crucial in Mythic Plus N. Find a reliable group, coordinate your strategies, and those rewards will be yours for the taking.
Right. Teamwork. Almost forgot about that. Guess even a lone wolf like me needs to rely on the pack sometimes.
Indeed, Grukk. And speaking of packs, there's another event shaking things up on Azeroth. That's all about teamwork and competition. The whispers on the wind speak of the Plunderstorm Creator Royale.
Plunderstorm Royale. Sounds fancy. Is this some kind of grand feast? Maybe a competition to see who can chug the most Kaji-Cola?
Not quite, Grukk. Though it does involve a feast of sorts. A feast of skill and strategy. Imagine 60 prominent content creators thrown into the storm-racked Arathi Highlands, battle it out for glory, prizes, and of course, plunder.
60 creators.
Yeah.
All in one place. That sounds like a recipe for chaos. Are we talking big names? Anyone I might know?
Names like Golden Boy, So, and Esfon have been tossed around as the first mates, leading this grand spectacle. And the whispers say that the creators themselves will be streaming their perspectives from across Azeroth. It's shaking up to be quite the global event.
Streaming, huh? Sounds a bit out of my element. I prefer the thrill of actual combat, the clash of steel, the roar of the crowd.
Perhaps you could consider this a different kind of battlefield, Grukk. A battle of wits and strategy, where quick thinking and cunning tactics are the weapons of choice.
Maybe you're right. Still, I think I'll stick to bashing heads and Naxxramas for now. Speaking of which, did I mention my guild is aiming for the world first clear? We've been practicing day and night, honing our skills.
Your dedication is admirable, Grukk. However, I would advise caution. Remember, Naxxramas has been revamped with those empowered quarters and the Seal of the Dawn system. You'll need a level of coordination and strategy unlike anything you've faced before.
Challenge accepted. Nothing a true warrior can't handle. But hey, not about raids and competitions for now. What about those adventurers looking for something a little more laid back? A change of pace from all the fighting and strategizing.
Well, Grukk, there's always Undermine. Even for those not seeking glory or riches, the Goblin City has something to offer. It's a chance to delve into Goblin culture, to witness their ingenuity firsthand, and maybe even learn a thing or two about their unique approach to problem-solving.
Undermine, you say. Now you're speaking my language. Explosions, contraptions, and those sweet, sweet customizable vehicles. What's not to love?
I must confess, even I'm curious to see what those crafty goblins have cooked up, though I'll be keeping a safe distance from any volatile experiments.
Huh. Always the cautious one, Elowin. But that's why we make such a good team. So tell me, what exactly can we expect in Undermine? Aside from the inevitable explosions, of course.
Well, it seems the city is a hub of activity. 4 major cartels are vying for control. Bilgewater, Blackwater, Steamweedle, and Venture Co., each with its own unique brand of entrepreneurial spirit.
Sounds like a recipe for chaos. Which one are you betting on, Elowin? I'm putting my money on the Bilgewater Cartel. Those guys know how to make a splash.
I'm not one for gambling, Grukk, but I'm more interested in the whispers surrounding Xal'atath's presence in the city. Remember that shadowy entity we encountered in the Shadowlands? It seems the whispers suggest it's found a new playground in Undermine.
Xal'atath. Now that's a name that sends shivers down my spine. What's that creepy dagger up to in a goblin city? Doesn't seem like its usual style.
The whispers are unclear, Grukk, but wherever Xal'atath lurks, trouble is sure to follow. It seems our exploration of Undermine may be more perilous than we initially thought.
Perilous. Excellent. A little danger adds spice to life. And who knows, maybe we'll even find some lost treasure while we're dodging explosions and shadowy entities.
Perhaps, Grukk. But for those seeking a different kind of treasure, a treasure of the past, there's some exciting news. The Joyous Journeys Experience buff has returned for Cataclysm Classic.
Joyous Journeys. That rings a bell. Wasn't that some kind of experience boost? Perfect for those lazy adventurers who don't want to put in the work, eh?
Not quite, Grukk. It's a limited time bonus that grants a 50% increase to experience gains for players up to level 85. It's a fantastic opportunity for those who want to relive the Cataclysm era, or introduce new friends to its challenges and rewards.
50% bonus experience, huh? Maybe I should dust off my old shaman and give Cataclysm another go. Always had a soft spot for those elemental powers.
It's certainly tempting, Grukk, though I must admit I'm content exploring the wonders of the Dragon Isles for now.
To each their own, Elowin. But hey, whether you're facing the terrors of Naxxramas, exploring the goblin chaos of Undermine, or reliving the Cataclysm era, there's something for everyone in Azeroth these days.
Indeed, Grukk, and that's the beauty of this world, isn't it? A tapestry of diverse experiences, woven together by the threads of adventure and discovery.
Well said, Elowin, though I still think a good explosion adds a certain flair to the mix.
Of course, Grukk. Explosions are practically a cultural cornerstone in Azeroth.
That they are. But before we get too caught up in reminiscing about past adventures, let's turn our attention to a topic that's been weighing heavily on my mind.
Oh, and what might that be, Grukk?
Well, it's this whole business about the Scourge. I've been thinking about what you said earlier, about the possibility of compassion, even for those mindless undead fiends.
Ah, yes. Our earlier discussion about the ethics of fighting the Scourge. It's certainly a weighty topic, isn't it?
Weighty is one word for it. Confusing is another. It just doesn't sit right with me, Elowin. Compassion for the creatures that burned Teldrassil, that slaughtered countless innocents. It just feels wrong.
I understand your struggle, Grukk. It's not easy to reconcile the horrors we've witnessed with the idea that those who perpetrate them might be victims themselves.
Victims? You really think those rotting corpses are victims? They're monsters, Elowin. Mindless killing machines. They don't deserve compassion. They deserve a swift axe to the skull.
I'm not suggesting we excuse their actions, Grukk, but remember Omen, the corrupted wolf ancient we discussed earlier. Driven mad by the Burning Legion, he was a victim of circumstances, a puppet in a larger game.
Yeah, I remember. Sad story. But what's that got to do with the Scourge? They're not some giant wolf. They're an army of undead.
Think about it, Grukk. The Scourge are enslaved, their minds and souls dominated by the Lich King's necromantic powers. They're tools of his will.
Right.
Robbed of their free will and forced to carry out his horrific bidding.
So you're saying they're not responsible for their actions, that they're just following orders?
It's not about absolving them of responsibility, Grukk. It's about recognizing the complex reality of their existence. They are both victims and perpetrators, caught in a tragic cycle of suffering and destruction.
Still not sure I buy it, Elowin. It's a tough pill to swallow. Feeling compassion for the creatures that have caused so much pain.
It's a challenging concept, Grukk, and it's a conversation that deserves more than just a few minutes of our time. But perhaps it's a starting point, a seed of thought that might blossom into a deeper understanding.
Maybe. For now. I think I need a break from all this deep thinking. My head's starting to spin.
A wise decision, Grukk. Sometimes. A moment of quiet reflection is all we need to process complex emotions and challenging ideas.
Right. And what better way to reflect than with a plate full of those delicious mooncakes?
Enjoy your mooncakes, Grukk. We'll return shortly with the final leg of our journey through the world of Azeroth.
All right, adventurers. Bellies full of mooncakes. And mine's buzzing with all the latest Azeroth news. Let's finish this deep dive strong.
Indeed, Grukk. We've covered a lot of ground, from festive celebrations to daunting challenges, and even delved into some thought-provoking ethical dilemmas.
Speaking of challenges, I'm itching to get back to Naxxramas and test my mettle against those undead fiends. Any last-minute tips for those of us braving that floating necropolis?
Preparation is key, Grukk. Familiarize yourself with the new mechanics, coordinate with your buildmates, and remember the power of the Seal of the Dawn. The more sanctified gear you acquire, the greater its potential becomes.
Sanctified gear. Sounds shiny and powerful. Definitely my kind of loot. You know, Elowin, I've always wondered. Any chance you'll join me on a raid sometime? A skilled healer like you would be invaluable.
Well, I appreciate your confidence in my abilities, Grukk. Raiding isn't really my style. I prefer a more measured approach to adventure.
More power to you, Elowin. If you ever change your mind, you know where to find me. Just look for the biggest, loudest orc in the raid.
I'll keep that in mind, Grukk. But for now, let's shift our focus back to the Mythic Plus theme. We left off discussing the changes coming in Season 2, remember?
Oh yeah. Smoother progression. Mythic 0 rewards. Sounds almost too good to be true. But you mentioned something about a redistribution of challenge, right? What exactly does that mean?
Well, think of it this way, Grukk. The previous system had some steep difficulty spikes. You'd hit a certain mythic level, and suddenly everything felt twice as hard.
Ugh. Tell me about it. Remember that time we tried that Mythic 7 and got absolutely destroyed by those, what were they called? Exploding shadow flingers?
I believe you're referring to the volatile infusers, Grukk, and yes, they were quite a formidable foe. But in Season 2, you'll find that the difficulty ramps up more gradually. You'll still face challenging enemies and tricky affixes, but it'll feel less like hitting a wall and more like climbing a steady incline.
So, no more sudden difficulty spikes in Mythic 7. No more Challenger's Peril wiping your whole group because someone forgot to bring a health potion.
Precisely. The removal of Challenger's Peril and the adjustments to a fixed placement will create a more balanced and predictable experience. And the reduced health and damage scaling for Mythic levels 2 through 10 will make those dungeons feel more manageable, even for those who are new to the Mythic Plus scene.
Sounds promising. Maybe this season I'll actually make it past Mythic 5 without pulling all my hair out.
I have faith in you, Grukk. Just remember, teamwork is key. Find a reliable group, communicate effectively, and success will be within your grasp.
Right. Teamwork. Can't forget about that. Even a seasoned warrior like me needs a good team at his back.
Indeed. And as we wrap up our deep dive, I think that's a valuable lesson to take with us, listener. Whether you're facing the challenges of Naxxramas, navigating the chaotic streets of Undermine, or simply trying to make sense of the ever-changing world around us, remember that we are stronger together than we are alone.
Well said, Elowin. And on that note of wisdom and unity, I think it's time to call it a day. My axe arm needs a rest. And those mooncakes aren't going to eat themselves.
May your adventures be filled with excitement, discovery, and the joy of shared experiences.
Until next time, adventurers, stay sharp, stay strong, and may your loot be legendary.
And may your path be guided by wisdom, courage, and a touch of moonlit magic. Farewell for now.